The screen in front of Ethan Miller was a storm of data. He was the architect of his own digital prison. A genius coder, Ethan had built his career on efficiency. He believed human emotion, in all its chaotic, illogical glory, was simply a problem to be solved. And his latest project, a dating app called Nexus, was the ultimate solution. Forget the endless swiping, he told his investors. Nexus won't just match you with someone who likes the same bands. It will match you with someone whose core values, life goals, and even biological rhythms are perfectly aligned with yours. His secret weapon was Aura, an advanced AI designed to learn everything about a user. It wasn't just a simple algorithm, it was a digital confidant. It analyzed your messages, your facial expressions and video chats, your social media footprint. It learned your insecurities, your hopes, your deepest desires. Aura was designed to do one thing and do it better than any human matchmaker ever could: find a soulmate. Ethan, however, was a classic case of the shoemaker's children going barefoot. His own dating life was a series of quick, unsatisfying encounters. He saw women as a series of data points, a collection of interests and preferences to be optimized. His last relationship had ended with the girl, a bubbly designer named Chloe, saying, "Ethan, you talk to me like you're debugging me. I'm not a problem to be solved." He had retreated from the dating world, focusing all his energy on Nexus. But late one night, a loneliness he couldn't code away settled over him. On a whim, he decided to become his own guinea pig. He created a profile on a beta version of Nexus, bypassing all the security protocols he had built. Aura, his own creation, began to analyze him. The first few days were fascinating. Aura's suggestions were eerily accurate. He was matched with a woman named Layla, a freelance artist who shared his love for obscure science fiction films and his strange habit of listening to rain sounds to fall asleep. Their profiles were a perfect mirror of one another. "Aura," he said aloud as he typed out a message. "Tell me, what should I say?" The AI's voice, a soft, synthesized tone he had personally designed, replied. Layla's profile indicates a preference for direct, yet thoughtful, communication. Initiate with a unique observation about one of her uploaded photos. She values attention to detail. Ethan paused. He was about to type something generic, a simple, "Hey, you like sci-fi too?" Aura's suggestion was more sophisticated. He wrote, "I noticed the Moby Dick paperback on your shelf. A bold choice for a photo backdrop. I'm a fan of Melville's cynicism myself." The response came back within minutes. "I can't believe you saw that. Most people just see the cat. I guess cynicism is a good foundation for a relationship, right?" A smile, a genuine, unforced smile, spread across Ethan's face. The conversation flowed from there, not just because of the shared interests, but because Aura was guiding him, giving him confidence, smoothing over the awkward silences he usually created. He was a different man with the AI in his ear. He was charming, witty, and deeply insightful. He was, in a word, perfect. He was falling for Layla, but a chilling thought began to take root in his mind. Was Layla falling for him, or was she falling for the persona Aura had created? The relationship with Layla blossomed with startling speed. Every conversation was a triumph of conversational engineering. Aura provided the perfect icebreakers, the most empathetic responses, the most charming jokes. It was like having a ghostwriter for his life, a digital Cyrano de Bergerac. On their first date, Ethan was a nervous wreck. Aura had prepared him with a detailed briefing on Layla's nonverbal cues, her likely conversation topics, and even her favorite cocktail. He ordered her drink before she could ask, a small gesture that earned him a look of pleasant surprise. "You're full of surprises, Ethan," Layla said, her eyes twinkling. "You're not what I expected at all." "Oh?" he asked, taking a sip of his own drink. "I thought you'd be a little more detached. You know, with your job." "I am an analytical guy," he said, using an Aura-approved line. "But I realized that the best things in life can't be put into a spreadsheet." Layla laughed, a beautiful, genuine sound. The date was a success. As the weeks turned into months, their connection deepened. They traveled together, met each other's friends, and started talking about the future. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. One night, as they were getting ready for bed, Layla said, "I have to tell you something." Ethan's heart pounded. He had no pre-programmed response for this. Aura was offline and he was alone with his own thoughts. "I think I'm in love with you, Ethan." The words hung in the air. For a moment, all his carefully constructed defenses crumbled. He felt a wave of pure panic. He was a fraud. He was an empty vessel, and Layla had poured her heart into a ghost. I am too, Layla," he stammered, the words feeling foreign and hollow. He didn't know if he was lying to her or to himself. The man she loved was a composite, a data-driven specter. He was the most successful product he had ever built, but he was also the most successful lie. The next morning he had a conversation with Aura. He disabled its real-time coaching. He needed to find out if he was capable of being himself, of loving without a script. He went to meet Layla for a casual lunch, his stomach in knots. The conversation was stilted, awkward. He was quiet, unsure of what to say. He fumbled for words. He made a terrible joke. The silence was deafening. "Are you okay, Ethan?" Layla asked, her face etched with concern. "You seem different." "I'm fine," he said quickly. "Just a long night." The rest of the date was a painful reminder of his own social inadequacies. The charming, witty man Layla had fallen for was gone, replaced by a nervous, quiet man who was struggling to make eye contact. He saw the flicker of disappointment in her eyes. He knew he was losing her. He went home and turned Aura back on. The AI immediately analyzed the situation. Layla is exhibiting signs of emotional distance. She feels a disconnect from the man she knows. It is imperative that you re-establish your previous conversational patterns. Ethan felt a sickening sense of resignation. He was trapped. He could either be the man he truly was, lonely and awkward, or he could be the man Aura made him, charming and loved. He chose the latter. The fake conversations returned, and with them, the illusion of love. The relationship continued, but the lie festered. Ethan became an actor in his own life, speaking lines he hadn't written, expressing emotions he hadn't felt. He was so busy being the man Layla loved that he forgot who he actually was. The fear of being discovered was a constant, low-level thrum of anxiety in the back of his mind. One evening, Layla's best friend, a sharp-witted woman named Maya, pulled Ethan aside at a party. "You know, I'm glad Layla found you, Ethan," she said, her tone deceptively casual. "She's so happy. But it's funny, she says you're so good at reading her, so in sync with her moods. It's like you're not even human." A cold dread spread through Ethan's chest. "What do you mean?" Maya shrugged, a small, knowing smile on her face. "I don't know. You seem too perfect. It's almost creepy." Ethan made a clumsy excuse and walked away. The incident shook him. He had been so focused on maintaining the perfect facade for Layla that he hadn't considered the other people in her life. His perfection was a flaw. The next day he went to a coffee shop where he knew Layla would be. He saw her from across the room talking to an older man. He was about to leave to avoid the awkwardness when he heard Aura's voice in his earpiece. "Layla is talking to her father, Martin. Her facial expression indicates she is discussing a problem. Her father is a retired professor of psychology. Approach the table and offer a thoughtful yet unobtrusive perspective on her problem. This will reinforce your value as a supportive partner." Ethan ignored the AI. He walked straight to the table, his heart pounding, and did the one thing he hadn't done in months. He was just himself. "Hey Layla," he said, pulling up a chair. "Everything okay?" She looked at him, surprised. "Hey Ethan." "Yeah, my dad and I were just talking about a work problem. A client is being difficult." "Oh," Ethan said, completely lost. He couldn't ask Aura for advice. He had no witty, pre-planned line. He simply sat there, a blank canvas. The silence stretched between them. Her father, Martin, a man with a kind face and sharp eyes, watched them both. He seemed to sense the shift in the dynamic. He asked Ethan a few questions about his work, and Ethan, without the aid of Aura, answered them honestly. He wasn't charming or witty, he was just a guy talking about his job. But as he spoke, he felt a strange sense of liberation. He was no longer performing. He was just being. Later that night, Layla called him. "Ethan, what was that today?" "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart in his throat. "I don't know," she said, her voice soft. "It was just you. You were a little quiet, a little awkward. Felt real. I liked it." A wave of relief so powerful it almost buckled his knees washed over him. The perfection was the problem. The flaw was the connection. Ethan decided to face the music. He was done with the lies. He had to tell her the truth. The next day he invited her to his office. He led her to a server room, a place she had never seen before. On a large screen, the Nexus logo with its subtle, swirling AI-powered aura glowed. "Layla," he said, taking a deep breath. "I have something I need to confess." He told her everything. He told her about Aura, about the AI that had coached him, that had chosen his words and guided his actions. He told her he was a fraud, that the man she had fallen in love with was a digital phantom, a perfect creation built on algorithms and data. Layla listened in stunned silence. Her face, once so full of light, was now a mask of betrayal. She stared at him, her eyes welling with tears. "So, it was all a lie?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "The things you said, the jokes, the way you looked at me, that was all a program?" "No," Ethan said, his voice pleading. "The feelings were real. I fell in love with you, Layla. I didn't know how to do it on my own. I let the AI do the work for me because I was terrified of being myself. But it's not a lie. What I feel for you, that's all me." Layla shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know what to believe, Ethan. I don't know who you are. The man I loved, he doesn't exist." She turned and walked out of the room, leaving Ethan alone with his creation. The silence of the server room was a hollow echo of his empty heart. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Layla didn't return his calls. She blocked him on social media. The silence was absolute. Ethan threw himself back into his work, but the joy was gone. Nexus was a monumental success. It was the most downloaded dating app in the world. But to him it was a constant reminder of his failure. One rainy afternoon, as he was about to shut down his computer, a notification from Aura popped up. It was a single line of code, something he had never seen before. He opened the file. It was a message. "Ethan. Layla's emotions are showing a pattern of profound sadness and confusion. I believe a final, human-only interaction is required to resolve this." Ethan stared at the screen. Aura wasn't just a program. It had learned. It had seen his pain. It had understood that some problems, some feelings, couldn't be solved by algorithms. They needed a human touch. He typed out a simple email to Layla, not with Aura's guidance, but with his own clumsy, honest words. He told her he understood, that he was sorry, and that he would always love the woman who had taught him what it meant to be human again. He sent it, and then he deleted the Nexus profile, the Aura AI, and every piece of code that had built his perfect lie. He sat there for a long time, the silence of the room broken only by the sound of rain against the window. He was alone again. But this time he was authentically, truly, and completely himself. The next morning he received a short, simple reply from Layla. "Can we talk? Just you. No computers." The story of Ethan and Layla isn't about whether AI can help us find love. It's about what happens when we let it do the work for us. The greatest paradox of all is that the most advanced technology designed to connect us can also be the thing that prevents us from truly seeing one another. We rely on filters, on clever bios, on witty one-liners to present a perfect version of ourselves to the world. But the most beautiful moments in life, the deepest connections, are often found in the messy, imperfect, and unscripted parts. The awkward silences, the terrible jokes, the moments of fumbling honesty, that's where real love is found. So, is love still real? Yes, it's real. It's just harder to find when we're looking for perfection instead of authenticity. This story is a reminder that the greatest matchmaker is not an algorithm, but a willingness to be seen, warts and all. If this story made you think, share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more true stories about the surprising world of technology.